Man, you just can't leave me alone in a model train shop if it has Märklin. Come back and find out what happened after the titles. Hey everybody, Anthony Dodge, Model Train Outsider, the Märklin Outsider here, back with a new First Impressions video. It's been a little while since I've done one, but I get to do one again. And this one is kind of special for a few reasons. Joyce and I this weekend went down to Columbus to help my son and his wife, my daughter-in-law Val, move into their new house they just bought. And while we were down in Columbus, we had some time, and we contacted a YouTuber that we talked to and know is in Columbus, and that was Eric from A&C N-Scale Railroad and Life Journey. And we got to hang out with Eric. It was great. We talked for an hour and a half, I think, and we hung out at Robbie's Hobbies. The danger is Robbie's Hobbies is one of the few stores in my part of the country where they do have some Märklin in stock. He's kind of clearing out his Märklin. He doesn't really seem to sell it anymore, but he does get the MHI models in to sell. But be that as it may, there was a model there, and actually a lot of models there, and oh, the pickings. And I had a little bit of money left over because I didn't spend my money at the Toledo Train Show. So I had some money, and Joyce kind of walked away and left me unattended in a shop that had model trains. And so I picked something up while she was on the other side of the store looking at something. So what I've got here is one I could not buy, a locomotive I could not buy from Modellbahn Shop Lippe, because to buy this you have to be a member of the MHI, the Märklin Händler Initiative, the Märklin Dealers Program. And as part of the Dealers Program, you agree to sell the stock at a certain price point. Lippe sells their stuff at a very low price that's below the manufacturer's suggested retail price, so Lippe doesn't get these models because only shops can sell these models. So what I got here was, and I'll just try to put an image of the box up so I'm not focusing on this thing, but this is a Class 193 Vectron, my first Märklin Vectron, in the Flixtrain livery. And you'll see a better picture of this when I get on the track. So I'm very excited to have this. Funny thing is, when this first came out, this model actually came out in 2020. It was a new item 2020. I think it actually was released to the shops at the very end of 2020 into early 2021. So this is not brand new. And they actually did a double deal. They had it marked down a bit, and we were talking in the shop, Eric, myself, and I think it was Robbie himself was there today, and we were talking with him, and he cut me a deal. He was offering me 20% off anything I bought, especially the Märklin stuff, and that was really cool, and I appreciate that. So thank you, Robbie, if you happen to tune in and watch this. I appreciate that deal, because when this came out, it was about $300, and I got it for considerably less than that. So I'm very thrilled, and sooner or later Joyce will be thrilled. It didn't cost as much as it could have cost. But it is a Flixtrain, and I had vowed to never buy a Flixtrain because I have an attitude against Flixtrains, because Flixtrains is the only company in Germany that refuses to honor the Deutsche Bahn tickets. So let me get this up on the track. You guys take a look at it. We'll run it in, and I'll give you my first impressions afterwards. So here it is out of the box. A Flixtrain Class 193 Vectron locomotive built by Siemens. It is a nice colorful locomotive, and it comes with 16 sound and light functions. Very light. but they're on. You can see the taillights. Very soft LED lighting in there. Coupler sounds. Pantograph sounds going off, running lights, sanding. This was a slightly lower price point model for the MHI deal. But it is very sharp and typical Märklin quality detailing. Get right in there and see the fine lettering close in. Just a very sharp, very colorful, which is what attracted me to it when I saw it at Robbie's Hobbies. Last year, I actually saw it there. And I kind of told myself, I've seen enough Flixtrains in Germany, and we haven't ridden one yet. Don't know if we will. But it's a unique color. It stands out, and I thought it would look cool with my collection of locomotives. But it is a 3 to 4 year old model. This came out in early 2021, late 2020. But just a very sharp detailing. Again, the fine detailing in. You can look, the windshield wipers are nicely done. The doors are separately, handles and safety rails are separately fitted. Nice coloring detail in the pantographs. So just all in all, a very, very sharp looking model. Now this particular model came in at 391 grams, which puts it at the higher end of my average for my locomotives. I tend to think that anything that's under 350 grams is going to be a bit lightweight. But again, the quality of the motor can make all the difference. I've got a couple of heavier locomotives that don't pull well because they have relatively low-grade motors in them. But I do associate a little bit of weight with how good a puller they're going to be. So at 391 grams, I think this will do fine. But very nice detailing, as I pointed out earlier. I just like the color. I've already searched for some matching cars to go with it. Hopefully I'll get those soon. But just overall, a nice model. So let's run this in and then give it a couple of loops up the incline. All right. So we did run this in. It ran in nice and smoothly and quietly. All I can ask for when running in a locomotive. Now, one of the big tests for me, which is seeing if it handles the incline first time out. So we're going to go ahead and get it started and send it off on its way. Well, here it comes into the long straightaway. And right past those first copse of trees is where the incline starts. And smooth as silk there. So we'll catch it around one more time with a little bit more speed. Here we go. Up the incline again. Second pass, as good as the first. So, time for first impressions. It ran in nicely. It ran in very quietly. Not the quietest, but I don't say that in a negative way. Just, it ran in quietly, but if somebody else buys it and says, well, it was quiet, but it wasn't as quiet as, I understand that. I forget which one I recently did, well, recently, a couple months ago, where it was just silent. You didn't hear it at all. I think it was that 249, the Märklin Vectron 249, that was just absolutely stunningly silent, but still silent. You know, no clunky noises, no motor noises. And remember, this is not a brand new model. This is not off the factory. This has been sitting for 3 years at a shop waiting for somebody to buy it. At least 3 years. Yeah, it's at least 3 years old. So it has not been used. It's new. It's never been opened. It's just been sitting in Robbie's hobby since it was released. And so they can be a little noisy. Older models, you know, especially if something's 10, 15 years old and hadn't been used in that time. So definitely impressed with how quiet it still was. And as I run it more, I'm sure it'll, if there's any little things, they will loosen up and go. But for now, quite happy with it. What brought me to it, what gets me to buying it, of course, is the livery. If I'm not going to buy a specific train I rode on, it's something I've seen in Germany. I know that runs in Germany, Austria, the Czech Republic. And I just find something about the locomotive or the train exciting, and that's usually a combination of the styling, you know, like the railjets. They're just very cool looking, and the liveries just take it to the next level. Flixtrains just has a very eye-catching livery. It stands out a bit from the other liveries you see, and that caught my eye. So I've been seeing this in Robbie's Hobbies for over a year, and I've just been, no, I don't want a Flix locomotive. I don't need a Flix locomotive. But I talked myself into it this week. I actually had a couple of things I wanted to buy, and this was the most expensive. And that's going to be the last comment here. Is I got this for about $100 less, give or take 20. than it was originally going for. When these came out, they were about $300, and I paid about $200. So a $200 fully digital Märklin quality locomotive, it's a steal. So I love this thing. So anyhow, I've babbled on and on and on. So until next time, I'll say Auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, and happy trains. Take care, everybody.